This is my check-in for week 4 of The Artist's Way. This book by Julia Cameron. This week was a really challenging week. It is the week where she puts in an exercise called reading deprivation. I guess if you're familiar with the program, then you'll know what that is. But if not, then it's definitely not something you should worry about. You don't have to do it perfectly, but it is challenging. Definitely challenging. Reading deprivation in the book is basically just not allowing any new ideas into your mind. You can alter it a little bit. You can add, not just avoiding reading, but also avoiding movies or social media or music, a lot of things like that. And you're supposed to record how you found this experience and whether it was challenging for you and, why you might have given up on it or what got in your way of achieving reading deprivation for the full week. I'm someone who reads a lot. I also do consume a lot of social media, particularly YouTube. But funnily enough, when I was doing the reading deprivation, it was actually Reddit that got in the way. And Reddit's not even something that I visit or pay attention to very often, but I would find myself, if I wanted to look something up, then, there's usually a Reddit page devoted to pretty much any question that you ask. And I would get sucked into Reddit really quickly, and just start scrolling and reading through people's comments and trying to, find out more. I think when I had last gotten onto Reddit, I was looking up something about the artist's way and people's experience with it. And it got really out of hand. It is, it's a very challenging exercise. It made me realize a lot. For instance, music gets stuck in your head. Even when I was at the gym and not listening to my usual exercise playlist, I still was hearing the music in my head, which was super weird. And then after not listening to music I didn't actually listen to music for the whole week, but then you hear it incidentally and it becomes really apparent how quickly and how pervasive some songs, they call them earworms. They get stuck in your head and you can't get rid of them. And it becomes kind of frustrating. I found that I would usually cave in with social media or Netflix or whatever sometime around 8 p.m. in the evening. And it occurred to me that probably for my entire adult life, I haven't been without some form of digital entertainment, like television, movies, whatever, of an evening for probably my entire life, actually. Even as a kid, I think The Simpsons would come on at about 7 p.m. and that's usually when we'd start watching television, and then it would be, I don't know, Home and Away or Friends or whatever thing was on television that day. And I would watch television until I went to bed or I would be reading if there was nothing that I wanted to watch. And so I was at a loss on what to do of an evening because I wanted to wind down and I wanted to, switch my mind off, but I couldn't find anything to fill that need except for cleaning. And so actually my apartment is cleaner than it's ever been, which is a good thing, I guess. But I actually only really succeeded in one full day of reading deprivation. No social media, no movies, no Netflix, no music. I only got through one day. But it was probably the most productive day that I've had in a very long time. So it's a really interesting exercise. It's not something that I succeeded at, but it made me hyper aware of, where I'm putting my attention and at what time of day. Um, I managed to do 6 days of the morning pages again. The days when I haven't been doing the morning pages tend to be the days after I haven't slept well. I know that for sure now after doing the program for a little while. And actually, not sleeping well really gets in the way of me achieving anything during the day. So that's something that I definitely need to work on is protecting my sleep. The artist's date, there was exercise 7 in this week was the extended artist date where you're supposed to have like a mini vacation for yourself and spend an entire day on an artist date. I didn't do that. That's like a lot of work, but it's something that I would like to do. Maybe going to a regional art gallery and maybe, I don't know, spending the day in a small town somewhere would be like quite a cool thing to do, but it's not something you can just pick up and decide to do on a whim. It requires a little bit of planning. And I did actually plan a longer artist date, but it didn't happen. I couldn't quite organize it, but I had planned to go down to the south coast around Frankston, which I've never been to that area of Melbourne. God, what else can I say about this week? It was really, I guess, the big challenge was the reading deprivation. That was the thing that really got me. It was the thing that I learned the most from this week. And it was also the thing that I couldn't quite manage. I think I did like 2/3 of the exercises this week. And that was really cool. But there was, do you know when you try to avoid doing something and you try to change a behavior, I'm not sure if anyone else experiences this, but I notice that my mind tries to double down and so if I try to avoid a behavior, quite often through avoiding it, once I pick the behavior up again, it comes back twice as aggressive. And so when I was trying to avoid watching YouTube in particular, I ended up going in for the craziest videos that I definitely know that I shouldn't be paying attention to. But there was this one video from the Diary of a CEO, and he had on Professor Jiang, who was talking a lot about geopolitics. And, you could go and look at this video. I'm sure it would be obvious to you quite immediately that no one should be watching this video before bed. Like, it's such a stupid thing to fill your head with fears about geopolitics right before you go to sleep. And I slept terribly that night, by the way. So I think that sometimes small and sustainable change is the better way to go about things. But the point of doing all of these exercises, I believe, is to become aware of what is happening in your mind and in your life that is keeping you away from being creative. And definitely, yes, I think distracting myself with social media, with other stories, I get very wrapped up in novels and, TV shows and that kind of thing. But sleep, yeah, sleep is a huge deal and something that has been a lifelong struggle. And I just can't seem to find the energy to do everything that I want to do with the day if I've only slept 3 or 4 hours. I bought this microphone thinking that I would try to put in a little bit more effort to these videos. And it was quite expensive. I've got these lights. I'm not even sure. In my what was it, week 2 or something, you're supposed to write out these alternate lives. I actually put YouTuber as one of my alternate lives. And I'm wondering what it would be like to properly make a YouTube video. But I spent an hour trying to set up this thing, this set. And getting the lighting and everything right is really difficult. I just couldn't make it work. This is about the best that I can manage, to be honest. But yeah, it is something I might continue to explore in the future. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.